The information provided on Dr. Tom Roselle Live by Dr. Tom Roselle, D.C., interview guests, show co-hosts, or substitute hosts is not intended or implied to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. It is for general information purposes only. Information from this broadcast should not replace the appropriate consultation and examination process by a licensed physician. Always consult your own physician prior to changing any current medical directive or prescription.
Hey everybody, welcome to Ageless Health with yours truly, Dr. Tom Roselle, and we got another great program for you. One that's here to support your health, your longevity, your capacity, your ability to do whatever you want to do, when you want to do it. And it all wraps around something that's we don't talk about too much, and we've kind of been dribbling into this over the last several weeks, and it's your hormones, right? So what are those guys? And more importantly, where are they produced and why do they sometimes have a problem in showing up the way they're supposed to show up? So let's get into that topic just a little bit. And by the way, all of this is going to lead into those of you in the Washington metropolitan area. I know many of you are listening from all over the places, different parts of the country and so forth. But those of you who are in the Washington metropolitan area, we invite you to join us on the 17th of November at the Roselle Center for Healing in Fairfax. And all you have to do to make that happen is go to drtomroselle.com and register, or simply go to rosellecare.com. And we'll be giving you a lot more information than you ever thought that was possible. Both guys and you ladies, I mean, we all have hormones, right? And we want to make sure that we optimize our longevity. We want to optimize our health, and they can predict your future health. They can predict if certain things are low, you say, oh my gosh, I got to do something about that. If they're too high, that can be problematic as well. So we have to put those pieces of the puzzle together and make sure you get it, you understand it, and you can walk away with an action plan, if you will, some steps that you can take to make things a whole lot better. So join us on the 17th, 6 p.m. at the Roselle Center for Healing in Fairfax, Virginia. And having said that, let's get into the program and let's talk a little bit about basically what hormones, we talked about what they are, but where they come from, what happens, when, they're disrupted. But first we have to know where they're coming from, what the deals are, and the like, right? So everybody says, well, my gonads. Well, they come from a lot of different places other than your groin. They come from the brain. They come from different organ systems. And there's one that I'm going to tell you about as we go through that you may not have thought about. So let's talk about that. Hormones, first, are chemical messengers. They send a signal, to all kinds of different targets in the body, and they regulate all kinds of physiological processes in the body. Your metabolism, wonder why your metabolism is slow sometimes? Well, this could be a source of that. How quickly you grow and repair, reproduction, your moods. If you're a grouchy old bear all the time, maybe that's the source of the problem. And we all go, well, it's because I was exposed to this, and it's because I was beat up as a kid and I got PTSD. Not so much. Maybe could be, and it could be because of the trauma, not because of the experience. But it could also simply be because your environmental impact, if you know, something we call epigenetics, is having a profound impact on your body and altering your hormonal dysregulation. So we start out with the fact that hormones are messengers, and they're produced by different glands within your body and other tissue, and at various rates and physiological exchanges back and forth, and they control what we just talked about. So here's the deal. So let's talk about a little bit of the sources. When you look at the skull, this big old noggin of yours, right? It contains a lot of different things. It protects a lot of different pathways. But one of the primary, the master gland, if you will, is a gland that sits, if you took your thumb and you put it in your mouth and you went right where the hard palate and the soft palate come together, there's an area there called the sella turcica. It means saddle. And what sits in there? It's called the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland is many times referred to as the master gland of the body. And it regulates all kinds of incoming, but it's also susceptible to other pieces that have to trigger it to produce what it wants. So there's a feedback loop that's constant. It produces hormones that regulate other glands. and including your growth hormone, the repair cycle. It also keeps you young. It keeps you muscular. It keeps you able to do things. How about thyroid stimulating hormone, TSH? Those guys, give you your metabolism. They regulate every cell in your body called, you. Now, there's another one called adrenal cortical stimulating hormone, and that comes from those glands we've talked about so often sitting on top of your kidneys, your adrenal glands, and they're so important. They're the ones that keep you alive. You could go for a short period of time with other glands not working, except for your heart, obviously. But if this adrenal system isn't working the way it's supposed to, there's not much of anything else that's going to work as well, because it has a triggering mechanism, blood sugar regulation. It has a trigger with heart regulation, has a trigger with blood pressure regulation. It's a feedback loop to the brain. So we're talking about some serious stuff relative to its coordination process. The thyroid gland produces hormones. The primary hormone is thyroxine. It's called T4. And then it goes into an active hormone, which is called T3. And those hormones regulate every piece of metabolism and energy level in your body. But it has to coordinate with other patterns as well. So, but here's what we don't know about thyroid function. Another program, we're going to get into that intimacy, just that T4, that thyroxine, 80% of what's produced in the thyroid gland is thyroxine. And now that has to go to the liver. The liver then converts it into T3 and free T3, which is your active hormone. But each one is a percentage of the other. Now what do you got to know about that? Well, we have to know a lot of different things about thyroid hormone, whether it's taken up, it's being blunted, it's being metabolized properly, and so forth. And there's actually about 8 different tests that you would do to find that out. Now, most physicians, unfortunately, in the allopathic community, they measure TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, because they want to see how supposedly the body's working and not working. But I'm just going to give you one piece. We could talk about this for the next 2 hours. But if thyroid stimulating hormone has lowered itself down, it's because the body's perceiving that it doesn't need more hormone. Now, is that because that is producing way enough, or you're taking too much medication, or is it because it's not being taken into tissue and it's sitting in the blood, or there's an inflammatory wall? Those are all things that we'll talk about at a different time. But how about your adrenal system that we just talked about? Adrenal cortical stimulating hormone. They produce a ton of different hormones. One that we're all familiar with is cortisol. And then there's pregnenolone, and there's estrogen, and there's testosterone. Ladies, you get the primary amounts of testosterone from your fight-flight system called your adrenal system. And if that is overwrought, it's not working the way it's supposed to, guess what? You're not feeling good. You have no libido. It's gone, left yesterday. You have no muscle tone. You can't seem to go the distance. That system is primary for you. Guys, you get it 2 places, right? You get it testicles and you get it the adrenal system. But it also produces your progesterone, and it also produces your estrogen. Yeah, you need estrogen, guys. I'm sorry to tell you, but you do. And it's just the amounts that are different from us to our counterparts, our ladies. Now, pancreas, what does a pancreas do? It produces 2 hormones. One that we talk about all the time is called insulin, but there's another one called glucagon, and they both regulate blood sugar metabolism. It's like, the accelerator and the brake. It works like this, one's up and one's down, but that's pancreatic function. So we hear insulin resistance, but we don't answer the question, what is causing it to be resistant relative to transport into tissue? Could it be glucagon? It could be other things as well. It could be an inflammatory reaction of some sort. How about your gonads, okay, your ovaries and your testicles? They produce heavy levels of our sex hormones. Guys, your primary testosterone comes from your gonads. Ladies, estrogens and progesterones are triggered by your ovaries. And these are essential for sexual development and reproduction. Those guys don't work, you're not producing anything. Or if they're aberrant in some way, they've been modified, they've been dysregulated. Right now in today's world and this is me telling you that all the vaccines that have been out there have caused problems with miscarriages. There's a lot of literature out there that is finger pointing to that area. There's a lot of guys that can't get their partners pregnant, and that's because that testosterone production has failed to produce normalized sperm, which causes reproduction. So I'm just giving you tidbits of information why these things are so important. And then, as far as I'm concerned, there's a master gland in the brain. It's called the hypothalamus, and it releases inhibiting and regulating hormones that directs the pituitary what to do. But you've always heard about the ACTH, adrenal cortical stimulating hormone. And that's the one that will trigger the hypothalamus to do what it's supposed to be doing and coordinate its effort. If the hypothalamic response is not there, there's a lot of things that are not going to work. So let's talk a little bit about the functions of these hormones. And we just touched on where they come from, but let's talk about hormones that play a role in metabolism. Primary guys, insulin and glucagon. One of the reasons that we put on all of that excessive weight is that we'll crave certain things and we eat too much, and we don't blunt the transport of certain elements called sugars and so forth the way they're supposed to. But insulin and glucagon regulate the body metabolism and how it uses and stores energy from food. That storage is what? It's fat tissue. And so if those guys are off, you're going to put on a whole lot of unnecessary weight in composition called fat, right? So growth hormone, we talked about that. Growth hormone stimulates tissue, and it causes bones to maintain their density. Sex hormones influence sexual development and maturation and reproduction cycle. We just touched upon that a little bit. All of these are subjects in of themselves that we can talk about. I want you to get the understanding that it's not just a simple one and done, take this and we'll see what happens. No, you want to ask the question, why is it there to begin with? And what caused it, really? And what can I do to restore normal function and bring it back to where it needs to be? So when we look at growth and development, we have to look at the triggering mechanisms. So we go to growth hormone. We can go to the transportation of energy within the body. Is the mitochondria working? But all these can be influenced by your hormonal balance. Homeostasis. What does homeostasis mean? I want to talk about that. Homeostasis allows hormones to maintain an internal balance. That's the communication that I've been alluding to, that one has to trigger the other, has to trigger the other, has to trigger the other. And it helps maintain blood pressure regulation, fluid balance, so you don't get the puffiness in your hands and your feet and other places. And your electrolytes, the sodium and the potassium levels and, all the trace minerals and selenium and the like, those things are critical for every system of the body. They have to be in really, really small amounts. And most of us don't get enough of anything, let alone the trace minerals that we should have. We don't eat vegetables, where a lot of our trace minerals come from. We avoid salt, and we shouldn't. We should avoid table salt, sodium chloride, bad for you. But we should have things like Baja Gold in our diet. We should have a little bit of the pink salt in our diet, and make sure that you're getting it on a regular basis, because they have so many trace amounts. Everybody's suddenly has stayed away from every salt in the world, and it's not okay. You have to make sure you have some sodium, because that fight-flight system that I've talked about, that adrenal system, that's where it comes from. And it needs those pieces of the puzzle. It needs the trace minerals. How about your mood? How about your behavior? Hormones like cortisol and adrenaline affect stress responses and emotional regulation. And so if your cortisol levels are off and you're constantly in fight, flight, adrenaline, your internal portion of the adrenal glands that produces catecholamine, your heart is going to be beating out of your chest like crazy. It's going to misfire. You're not going to feel good. Your emotional regulation is going to be up and down like a yo-yo. You're going to bite anything that comes around you that you disagree with. Now, you have to make sure that there's a balance. You got to see somebody who understands that hormonal regulation. I'm going to give you a little bit of a tip as we get through the program right now, and how you can affect your own hormonal function. How about that sleep-wake cycle? It's called your circadian rhythm. One of the master hormones is melatonin. It's produced by your pineal gland, and it controls that. But did you know that you have multiple circadian pathways in your body? When ladies, you have a menstrual cycle when you're in childbearing years, right? That goes on a rhythm every 28 to 35 to 30 days and so forth. As long as it's regular, that's your feedback loop. Now, what controls that? Part of that regulation is that circadian pathway that we're talking about that has to do with what the pineal gland has control over. So these rhythms, these circadian rhythms, these regulatory pathways are critical. In the wintertime, you're going to see that you want to sleep. That hibernation that bears go through, you do the same thing. Except we fool ourselves. We stay up and we watch television all the time. We're on our iPhones, we're on our iPads and so forth. And guess what happens? We disrupt all that constant input, that mechanistic pattern of interruption that we see electronically can destroy all these things. Not only the vaccines will interrupt it, but electronics will interrupt it. Lack of exercise. So I told you that I would get into teaching you a little bit about what you can do to balance these things now that we have a little touch as far as where they come from. But remember, on November the 17th, here at the Roselle Center for Healing in Fairfax, we're going to get into this. Dr. Stephanie Pina and I, the 19th, I keep forgetting. My brain wants to go earlier with you, but it's the 19th. It's a Wednesday night. It's at 6 p.m. And please join us. I mean, you're going to have some fun with us. I'm the guy that's going to interrupt the cycle and say, hey, well, how about this? And I'm going to show you what it looks like when you don't have what it takes. And, how about getting into your 80s and feeling really, really good and vibrant and so forth, instead of looking forward to death? I don't know about you, but, I'm looking to get stronger over a period of time. But you can repair from anything as long as you have enough hormone. What's one of the enough hormones? Testosterone. By the way, ladies, you can't fix anything. Guys, you can't fix anything unless you have adequate amounts of testosterone. And I don't mean what it was when you were 20, but adequate amounts that you can repair tissue and you can look good and you can have energy and you can do the things that you want to do. Critically important. So what should you do? If you did nothing else, get off your butts and go for a walk, and then put like a pound in each hand, 2 pounds. Maybe you get up to 5 pounds and walk, stretch yourself, go out for 5 minutes one way, come back for 5 minutes the other way. That's only 10 minutes, right? Then increase it. Maybe you're going to increase it 2 minutes, every week. So now you're going out 7 minutes and back 7 minutes. And then the following week, you do 2 more, right? Now you're pretty close to 20 minutes. Now you go and increase it more. You want to get that number up to about 30 minutes with some weight resistance. Put ankle straps on. They've got, you can go online on any of the sites and get these strap-on ankle bands. They weigh 2 pounds to 3 pounds. You can get them for your wrist. They weigh 1 pound, sometimes 2 pounds. And now you're walking and you're pulling that extra weight and you're increasing your speed. Initially, just go for a walk. Go schmooze a little bit, right? Just go out, take a look at the area, enjoy it. Beautiful day. And even if it's cold, put a stocking hat on, put a scarf around your neck, and put gloves on. If you take care of the wind points behind your neck, if you keep the head in, particularly an old chrome dome like me, right? You want to keep that heat in the body. That's all you need to do, and keep your hands warm and wear a good pair of socks. Don't be afraid of the cold. It's good for you. It causes your body to have a good type of stress reaction. But what do? We sit there, we decide to have another cookie, and we watch the tube and so forth. Here's the other thing you do. Go to bed at the same time every night. Go to bed at the same time every night. Turn the tube off. Quiet it down. Turn the lights off. Sleep in a cool room. All of those things will help protect, over time, your circadian rhythm. Don't drink anything that is a stimulant after about 7 o'clock at night. Be done with it. That's if you got a couple, 3 hours before you go to bed. Otherwise, stop at 6 and get into that easy pathway of settling down. For me at nighttime, I get in touch with the boss. I talk to the creator and I sit there and I do a little meditation, and I kind of contemplate the things that I want and things that I have to do. And I kind of drift off after I do some very interesting breathing patterns. And by the way, I've told you about these before. So here's what do. You breathe in slowly, 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 slowly for a count of about what? 5. And once you get to that level, you hold your breath for a count of 5. And then you let it out for a count of what? 10. So it's 5, 5, 10. If you breathe in slowly and then you hold it for a similar count of 5, and then you very slowly breathe out, and you do it several times, you're going to put your body into a beautiful parasympathetic state, and you'll be able to sleep and relax. But if you do it on a regular basis, so what you're going to do, you're going to go to bed every night at the same time, preferably before midnight. You're going to turn off all the garbage stuff around you, no inputs, get your computers to shut down, turn off your Wi-Fi, and go to sleep in a cool room. You can use your blankets to stay warm. Or if you're lucky enough to have somebody next to you, curl up, use their body heat. You'll both enjoy it. So do those kind of things, and you'll be surprised just doing those things, how your body will respond differently. Make sure you're not eating junk. The mantra, avoid the sugar, sodas, coffee, black teas, fast food, fried foods, alcohol, gluten, additives, preservatives, all the junk, right? GMO products. Go out of your way to eat gently. Now, everybody talks about what? They talk about intermittent fasting. Well, I'm the guy that's going to tell you that you shouldn't go more than about 12 hours, unless you're doing a detox, and that's a whole different situation. 12 hours is plenty. You get your body starts waking up in the morning, get yourself a big old glass of water before you do anything else, maybe about 10 ounces. Put a little bit of that Baja salt in it, just a nice, heavy pinch of salt in there, and drink that down. You'll be surprised just doing that, how your body will respond, and you'll feel so much better, and your day will start cranking. Now, over time, most of you want a magic wand, and you want it one and done yesterday. Well, guess what? It may take a little longer. By the way, if you want to see a lot of things that can support your body, I want you to do this. I want you to go to drtomroselle.com and go to that website and go to our online store and check it out, right? Go to drtomroselle.com and go to the Ageless Health store and scroll down through that. I've handpicked a lot of things that will support you and allow your body to heal and to grow and to become better. And by the way, anytime you want a question answered, reach out, go to drtomroselle.com, send me a note, and I promise you I'll get back to you and give you some guidance. And if you're not in our area and you're asking for a recommendation of a doc, I'll tell you who I'd send my own family to. So make sure you do that. I hope this is helpful. It positions you in a way that, you can really make a difference by yourself in your own life. If you're willing to do it, eliminate the garbage. Don't eat the junk. Stimulate your body with some mild exercise, but every day, regularly. If that 2 pounds becomes easy for you, then why don't you add a little bit more? Increase the velocity, the movement, the quickness of your pace. Do that. Spend some time with meditation. Relax. See your body in a healed pattern. See your body with the energy that you want. See your body at a place that it can take you through times. And then do a gut check. Start looking at, how many drugs am I really taking? And how are these drugs interacting? And am I really being sold a story as far as the things that are put in? Because so many of the medications suppress other processes in your body. So I want you to be aware of that. I want you to understand that you can be in control, right? My book, Ageless Health, Health is a Do-It-Yourself program, by the way, is still available if you go to agelesshealthbook.com, and you'll find that there's a whole guide there. And then hopefully in 2026, coming into the first quarter of the year, we're going to have another version of that coming down that I'm upgraded for you that I think you're going to really, really enjoy. Having said that, listen, I'm here on an ongoing basis. Join me on a radio program on WMAL 105.9 FM. You can find me. You can reach them anywhere. They have an app that you can download so you never miss anything that I'm doing. We enjoy bringing you the best information possible that you can truly, truly help yourself on an ongoing basis. Remember, I'm here constantly giving you the source of information that you need and that you deserve. For what reason? I love you all. You have a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye.